glue shrinkage video number 2. Yes, we're talking about glue shrinkage again, but this time this test is going to be a little bit different. Now you see my test rig here, which happens to be 3 G clamps, 2 pieces of wood and a bit of plastic in between. And yes, I know what you're thinking. What is this idiot up to now? Well, in the previous video I tested 3 glues to see how much they shrank by, but they were I allowed them to go off in the open air. This time I've done pretty much the same thing, but not 3 glues. I think I've done 5, I can't remember. But this time I've sealed it, so no air can get to it. Like, what I've done is basically I've drilled reset 20mm or 15mm, sorry, 50mm recesses in a piece of wood, filled them flush with the glue, and then put this plastic over the top, and then clamped another piece of wood over the top, so they can't go anywhere. Now, one of the reasons I've done that is because one of the glues we're using, which is the D4, this one here is a polyurethane glue, it expands all over the place. And because it does that, it tends to be a bit soft inside, if you know what I mean. It's just, you poke it back, it's a bit it's like foam inside. A bit like the polyurethane foam you put around windows. And I thought to myself, okay, what if I stop it from escaping? That's what it's been trying to do. It's been trying to escape. It's good my tummy. I've been eating jelly beans. Yeah, jelly beans, which came from Eureka, who supplied some of these glues. And no, I'm not sponsored by Eureka. I'm just making videos because, they've supplied me with the glue and what have you. I just return the favour, I suppose. So, and they give me jelly beans. I've not bribed somebody with jelly beans, is there, eh? Yeah, anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look, see what's going on in my little sandwich here of wood and glue. That's what we're going to do. So no further ado, let's undo the clamps. I haven't undone this yet. I'm hoping it comes apart. That'd be a disaster if it doesn't, wouldn't it? So anyway, that's one clamp. And there's the second clamp. And these Z-clamps, I believe, came from Axminster. I think it was like 10 for £60. So yeah, 6-inch clamps. So I do like G-clamps, you get a lot of force with them. Squeeze those joints together, I say. Yeah, squeeze the flipping glue out, no glue left, and the joint fall apart. No, don't do that. Okay, well, that has come apart, gone apart. Right, now, this has been together for, I would say 4 days, maybe longer. 4 or 5 days I've had this together in here. Yeah, maybe 5 days actually, yeah. And I'm looking at it now, and the PVAs are still wet. Now, just think of that being inside your joint. Now, you might think your joint is stuck together, but it's still wet. That's a bit of an issue. That is a bit of an issue. Now, the ones that aren't wet, so we've got 3 PVAs here. We've got the Eureka 10 minute, yeah. Remember, they've been filled to 5mm thick, so it's quite a lot of glue to go off. But if you've got a gappy joint, I need to say it's not going to be stuck together, is it? That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that if you've got joints that aren't that brilliant, if you use them in construction and what have you, and there's all this either too much shrinkage or the glue's not going off in good time, well then, needless to say, you're not a winner, are you? Look at this, it's just, yeah, a bit soft. So anyway, I'm going to peel it off anyway, and we'll just see what the score is. Now, so far though, I have to admit, looking at the PU glue, which is that one, that hasn't squeezed out, and it basically couldn't, but it feels a lot firmer inside. So that'll be inside the joint. Instead of it being all bubbly, I filled these all flush, remember? And even PU glue, normally the last experiment I did with the PU, this glue here, it all oozed out the top like a little mole. And the Cascamite, which I used, because I've used Cascamite in my test as well, which is that one there, shrank. This is exposed to air, it shrank a lot. And the D3, I thought was actually pretty successful because it's really firm, and that's air hardened. So basically, just drilled the holes and allowed these to, left them outside just to go off. But on the latest experiment, on this side, I placed this polythene over the top, and that is the result. It's been 4 days. It's quite a long while. At least it might be 5 days, but let's say it's 4 days. Now, even though, it was sealed, if you can see here, this is the Eureka D3, which happens to be very wet. That one there is very wet. So that's going to take a good long while. If you've got a thick joint and there's no air can get to it, that's going to take a lot longer to go off. That's almost 4 days. Now that's not just going to be the Eureka glues, that's going to be all D3s. As you can see, pretty much all these here. You see that's the Patex one, which is this one here. That one there, this comes from Action in France. You get anywhere else, Patex is quite a common brand here in the EU. That also is soft. Maybe not quite as soft as the D3, but pretty darn close. That's not any benefit there. So this is a good reason why you shouldn't really use PVAs with joints that might be a bit on the old slack side. That glue isn't going to go off in a hurry, is it? It really isn't. Yeah, that's gone. It's just tacky. It's gone to almost like a putty sort of constituent. And then we've got the 10-minute one, which is quite interesting. It's still on the soft side as well, hasn't gone off properly, as you can see. So bear this in mind. Think about this when you're choosing your glues. I'm not saying any of these glues are not any good. They're just not any good for this purpose. So there's not a one shoe fits all. That's the thing about blooming hats, And I like hats. Okay, I wear a lot of hats, not all at once. But when I want to order a hat, I want all the hats to fit my head. And when they say it's one size fits all, I get so irate. I do. Yeah. I fume. Because it's either it's going to be blooming slack or it's going to be blooming tight. Yeah, one or the other. So anyway, because I've got a big nugget, you see. So the PVAs haven't fully gone off. They've gone off at the bottom, but not around near the top. So they would go off eventually, but they're going to take too long. Okay. Now this is interesting. Now the reason why this is interesting is because when we did this test, as you can see here, the cascamite shrunk a huge amount because it's exposed to air. So I love cascamite glues, and since Eureka's taken over the brand, I'm very, very happy because it's a glue that I always used. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, Polyurethane, whether they're forced to, or they could get ingredients or whatever. Well, actually, they did say they had struggled with ingredients, what they told us during the pandemic. They changed the formula and they ruined it. Absolutely ruined it. Anyway, long story short, it's crap. It was crap, and now it's good. Yeah. So, but if you look at this experiment here, it was the worst for actual shrinkage when it was exposed to air. Now, it shrunk almost 4 millimeters, and it's only 5 millimeters deep. They're all cut exactly the same depth using the stop on the pillar drill. So so that is shrunk one hell of a lot. The PU glue went everywhere basically, but there's no density to it. It's like sponge. Wouldn't be very good like that. The D3 shrunk quite a bit, but it was pretty damn firm. It shrank the least when exposed to air. Remember, a lot of these they contain moisture, don't they? So that will evaporate. Now, I would say that these 3 glues for a enclosed, heavy glued up joint. In other words, you're trying to fill a space because you whack loads of glue in it. Your joint shouldn't be that slack anyway. Let's be honest. But anyway, these glues aren't really going to cut the mustard. They're going to take a very long while to go off. Plus, if you look there, where has it all gone? It's shrunk quite a lot. So that's not very helpful, is it? Now, the other 2, which is the PU glue, which is that one, and that one here, which is the cascamite. Now, that cascamite, I'm not kidding, that's only, that's barely shrank at all. And it's hard. So, yeah, about 0.5 millimetre, I reckon. I don't know if you can see that's a tiny, tiny gap, I believe. I don't even know if I'm about to register that. Probably not. not well, it was about half a millimetre. About half a millimetre. So, in an enclosed joint, the Cascamite, I think, is going to do a very good job because it's hard. So the joint is not going to compress. There's any movement in your joint, you're not going to squeeze the glue, and it's gone off. That's the other thing. See, these haven't even gone off. The Cascamite has gone off. So you see the merits in the Cascamite here, which is this powdered resin wood glue here. No, it's brilliant stuff. I love it. Absolutely love this stuff. I don't eat it though. No, I don't put it on my chips either. Don't do that. No. Anyway, there's the other glue, the PU glue, which happens to be the D4, this one here. And it's a polyurethane glue. Now, I love this type of glue. It's great for doing like ledges on tongue and groove boards. You know, where you might have a little groove in between each joint when you put the boards together and the water run down. And it gets trapped there because the meniscus of the water, and then it hangs in there and that rocks your shutters out or your doors out or whatever else you got there. Well, if you've got this glue, it will fill all those voids and the water run off the top instead of being trapped behind. So a bead of this near the sort of like 2/3 up the edge of the ledge before you nail it to your boards, that I would say that's probably one of the best glues for that purpose because it seals the joint. You see, it all expands and fills all the nooks and crannies, and the water can't get in. Which it makes it a lot harder. So that's definitely worth it for that. Now the hardness though, it's pointless to even mentioning already the hardness of those because of the PVAs because they're soft. You know, the D3, the 10-minute, what they call it, Cascarez wood glue, fast grab wood glue. I actually like this stuff. It's actually pretty good stuff that is, but not for this job. But the actual PU glue, there is compression in it. It deflects. So for joint work, it's quite spongy. It sounds like instead of it being spongy, it's like a little blob of rubber. So, yeah, it does deflect. So if you use that in a joint, it'll stick like very hell. Don't be wrong, that's because that'll be well stuck in there. But it does compress a little bit. It squishes a bit. I would say it's not. It's not like it's not spongy. It's just like, but like it's like I can't see any air bubbles in it either. Few on the top, a little few just on the top of it, but it looks the same colour all the way through. Might be worthwhile cutting a bit out actually, having a look. But it's spongy. So I personally wouldn't necessarily use that for a joint that I didn't want to have any movement in it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Definitely got its uses. It's like anything. You choose the right glue for the job. And for this purpose, without a shadow of a doubt, the winner here today, even though it wasn't on the exposed test, has to be the Cascamite. The Cascamite is the winner by a long way. Hardly any deflection at all, hardly any shrinkage. It's hard, dense. Yeah. Cascamite for all your enclosed joints. Your mortars and tendons, your not tuss tendons, but your mortars and tendons, would be perfect for that. Or, your domino dowel machine, your Festival domino doweler, or disc dowels. Any where the glue is not exposed to the air, most definitely the Cascamite. There you go, solved it. That's my go-to glue. In fact, it's been like my go-to glue for a long time. And you tell me what your go-to glue is. Leave it in the comments down below. You see, some glues are good for one job, and some glues are good for another job. Yeah? It's not because the glues are not any good, because they darn well are. Just not for that job. Anyway, ta-ta. That's my opinion anyway. Leave it in the comments down below, and boot the old like button. Ta-ta.